Johann Bihr, tell me what you know about the up-and-coming trial on the 9th of March, the Cumhuriyet case. What do we expect?
So the Cumhuriyet case is coming to a close. On the 9th of March we should get the prosecutor's request and maybe the verdict, you never know. But in any ways, yeah, the trial is coming to a close.
For somebody who knows nothing about the Cumhuriyet case, can I ask you to sum it up in a few bullet points?
First is Kafka, baseless accusations, guilt by association, courage of the journalists who defend themselves and fight back in trial. So basically 17 journalists and media workers of Cumhuriyet are accused of links with various terrorist organizations, and the ground is nothing but their journalism. So these journalists are prosecuted because they got a call from a source, they decided to use this or that headline, and they decided to cover this or that. But basically, the fact that Cumhuriyet is one of the main flagships of independent journalism in Turkey is the problem of this trial. Cumhuriyet is prosecuted because it is the flagship of independent journalism in Turkey.
Why do you think there hasn't been more help from the EU? Do you think it has something to do with the wider refugee crisis? The EU needs Turkey to stem the flow of refugees into the EU?
Sure. The migrant deal between the EU and Turkey has probably had an impact, and Turkey, the EU has kept, has not been vocal enough to our eyes on the scale of the crackdown on media and the wider civil society in Turkey. But what's important is maybe not the EU, but the Council of Europe. Turkey is a full member of the Council of Europe, and it cannot pretend, as it does with the EU, that it's being disrespected or disregarded, etc. Turkey is a member of the Council of Europe, and it has to implement the decisions of the European Court of Human Rights. It has to respect the commitments that it willingly took to protect and defend human rights. This is why it's so crucial to have verdicts of the European Court of Human Rights soon on the applications of about 20 journalists jailed in Turkey.
If I could ask you a question, as a long-standing journalist, why would anybody want to be a journalist in Turkey today?
Being a journalist committed to true journalism in Turkey these days is a fight, clearly. Journalists from all the political background have been prosecuted in recent years just for trying to do their job. Journalists from Kurdish media, leftist media, conservative media, Republican, conservative or progressive media, all the political landscape has been targeted. So today, what is at stake in Turkey is the fact of being a journalist and simply trying to do your job in Turkey can land you to jail, and it's a fight which takes guts to carry. But I can see why people keep wanting being journalists in Turkey, because what's at stake is democracy and the possibility for the Turkish people to express itself and to choose its future.
After the failed coup, 35,000 people were arrested. We know 200 journalists ended up in prison, 150 of them are still there. Hundreds of media outlets were closed, and as we heard quite recently, 400 people were arrested because they dared to criticise the media offensive in Afrin because of their social media activities. What do you think this tells us about freedom of expression, not just from the media point of view, but from the whole Turkish nation as a whole?
Turkey ranks 155th out of 180 countries in our latest Press Freedom Index, so this is by itself quite telling. Press freedom and freedom of expression have been crushed in Turkey. Pluralism has been reduced to almost nothing, to just a handful of media outlets who are harassed and who are fighting despite everything. And this situation is not only dangerous for journalists and the Turkish democracy, it is quite dangerous for the country itself. When you suppress dissent, when you don't let people express themselves in such a polarized society as Turkey, in such a dangerous regional environment, you're only nurturing the flames. So Erdogan's repressive policy are very dangerous for the very security of its country. And this is also something that the European leaders and the global leaders should bear in mind.